Hey, I'm David.
I'm Tina.
And welcome to our channel. And if this is the first time you've been to our channel, you just found us, please consider subscribing and like this video and ring that bell so you know when we put out new material. So this is our third year of RVing.
That's correct.
Yeah, and this year has been a little bit different. Well, first of all, it's different on two fronts. One, we started a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And we've got almost 100.
Woohoo!
almost 100 subscribers. And that's okay. It's all for fun.
Yeah.
And also, we took on some pups this year. Took on 2 puppies.
So
2 dachshunds. So I'm gonna let Tina tell you. But this video was really her idea. So I'm gonna jump in on occasion. I might interrupt if I do. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But go ahead and tell them what your thoughts are.
So in October 2020, we adopted 2 sweet pups, doxies, Annie and Denver, and this our first season traveling with pups. So on this episode, we're going to just talk about the things that we've learned along the way. One of the things that happened when we were bringing them home was Denver got car sick, and we just chalked it up as it's his first car ride.
Right.
In 2021, in preparation for our camping season, we started taking them for longer car rides / truck rides.
Yeah, right.
And
in the back seat of the trucks.
And the back seats, that's right. And we found that they would walk around and they would get car sick. Both of them would get car sick.
Yeah. So and we were just taking like an hour drive, just around the neighborhoods and streets and highways. And I'd be driving, and Tina would look back there, and she goes, "Oh, David, Denver just puked." I'm like, "Oh,
Annie
man."
doesn't feel good.
And Annie looks like she doesn't feel very well.
So there'd been a couple of times we've had to stop along the way.
And by this time, I'm like, "Oh man, what have I done?
What have we gotten ourselves into?"
The pups were kind of my idea. I wanted to get some dachshunds, long-haired dachshunds, and travel. And then here I've got possibly 2 new dogs that are going to get car sick.
Yeah, we're like, oh no. So at that point,
what have I done?
Yes. So at that point, we knew that we needed to figure out a way to help them be more comfortable and help to find a way to keep them from getting car sick.
Yeah.
So that's.
Sorry, I did a little research online and in some of the Facebook forums as well. So some of you guys, if you're watching, thank you for that, because you did give me some good tips, and we'll share those with you guys as well. But the elevated platform was the number one thing that I think helped them, along with the things you're going to talk about as well.
Correct. So one of the things David did was build a platform bed for the pups, and it was a way to keep them comfortable, place to sleep, a place that we could set their food bowl and their water bowl, and I keep a little fan in the camper, in the truck, on their little platform. So on the hot days when the sun may be shining in and maybe it would give them a little extra coolness and comfort.
Right.
So
because even though the air conditioning's on and it's probably 70 degrees in the back seat, the sunlight on you will make you feel warmer, and just that little breeze blowing across them makes a lot of difference.
Yes. Yeah. And they love their new comfy space.
Yeah. I'll make a video on how I made that, because it was quite, I don't want to say challenging, but it took me a while to figure out what to get, and then once I got it, it was pretty simple to make after that. So go ahead and let's start with your 5 things, and then I have some things.
Well, we did the bedding just now, the back seat comfort, all of that. So we've already done that. So the next thing we felt like we needed to deal with is their car sickness. We found that by holding off on giving them their kibbles before we leave and their water, that it helped along the way, and I would just give them kibbles.
Right. So basically what was happening was, the mistakes we were making up front were, hey guys, we're getting ready to go. Here's a full bowl of food.
Yeah.
So no, you don't do that. What you do is, let's say we're going to leave at 5 in the morning. Well, we get up at 4, and we have our breakfast, and we give them just very little food, very, very little food, just enough to make them feel like they had something to eat, and then a little bit of water. And then that's what you travel with. And then you just feed them along the way, just little bits here and there. Right?
Yeah. We did try vet medication, but it caused them to have side effects. And
Yeah, that was a veterinarian prescription, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
veterinary.
we actually got a vet prescription, like Benadryl, not Benadryl,
Dramamine.
Dramamine. Yeah. And so we get there, and Tina's looking at Annie, and what was Annie doing?
She was having excess drooling.
Oh.
That was on our first trip.
Looks like Cujo.
That was on our first trip to North Carolina.
Right, it was. That was like our test trip.
Yeah, and she was drooling excessively, and they both were having problems with pottying.
Yeah.
And so we decided at that point we were not going to give them any more of that medication because we felt so bad for them.
Yeah.
So
really, that first couple of days we were there, it was like, oh man, this. You know, I looked it up. And we found out that it was the medication that had side effects of excess drool, and it would mess with their intestines a little bit. But they did fine. After that.
We stopped,
and we
giving
didn't use it anymore.
Yeah,
and I just threw it away.
So we just found that by delaying their food and their water, they did better along the way.
Much better. Yeah.
So,
all right, what's next?
Potty breaks.
Potty breaks.
So David always makes sure to plan additional potty breaks along the way.
And that's a video, by the way. I'll link it up here somewhere, of how to do your pet stops along with your fuel stops. Yep.
Yeah, we always want to make sure that we find a safe place for them to stop off at, and then to make sure that they're always comfortable. And
yeah. So what I started doing is during our fuel stops, I noticed that there's a video again. I'll link that. There are stops, rest stops on the interstates, 30 minutes from just about every fuel, Love's or Pilot station. And so I just started adding those in on my planning. And then what I do is I scope out through Google Maps, and again, it notes this in that video. You can see how the rest stop is laid out, and sometimes they're not very good. And we just had a few recently that were not very good. So I scoped those out before we leave, and get rid of the ones. And then the unplanned stops, so you have to stop it. It wasn't a planned one. It's rest stop at your own risk.
That's right. So one of the things we also try to do is always be sure to be courteous to other pups that are in the area. We don't want to invade their space, and we also want to make sure to give our pups, we want to allow them the time to get used to the smells and
This at the campgrounds, right?
No, at the
rest stops.
At the rest stops, yeah. So
yeah, but we can't stay too long.
No, we can't, because we're on a schedule.
We got a schedule to keep, young lady.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the next thing is campground and other pups.
Right.
So one of the things we always make sure to do is to keep our pups on a leash when we're walking them. And if we approach other pups, we always discuss with the owner if it's okay if our pups get close to them, and vice versa, because we want to make sure all pups are safe.
Right.
And we've had an incident where dogs have brushed up and snipped at our pups, and it was very scary.
Yeah. Even if you're out just walking your dog in the neighborhood or something, you typically don't just let them just go at it. So you want to make sure that if you're out walking your pups during, down around one of the loops or whatever, and you see an oncoming pup, that hey, is it okay if they shake hands?
Yeah, that's all right. Shake paws.
Shake paws.
We did have an incident where David took Denver out, and he didn't want to potty.
Yeah, that was our first night in Granby, Colorado.
So
what happened was it was new, right? All the smells. So let me just pause for a second. So you think about this. We as people, intelligent people,
some of us.
Okay, some of us. We know we're going someplace different. The pups, you're uprooting them from their house. There are things that they know, and you're plopping them down someplace that has a lot of different smells, and maybe even some scary smells if you're a small pup. So what we do is we have to give them extra time. So back to Granby. What had happened was, this was like, 2 in the morning. I hear the pups in there whimpering. Okay, we get them out, take them outside, and they had nothing to do. They just walk around. They're scared. Didn't do number 1 or number 2. So I thought, well, it's getting chilly outside, and let's just go back to bed.
And normally we don't put the dogs in bed with us when we're camping, but David...
In our RV, we don't let them sleep with us, but it was cold, and I decided to go ahead and let them come in there into bed with us. And so Denver, I guess Andy had already snuggled up.
Yeah.
And then Denver's like, he's restless, he's kind of moving around, and all of a sudden I feel this warm spot in my armpit. So he had, I guess, had made it comfortable enough to go there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So.
But then, I mean, yeah, you want to make sure, I think, that you give your time, your pups time to acclimate to the new surroundings, because it could be a scary thing. Imagine if you were plopped someplace totally different and said, "Here, you've got 2 minutes to go do your business."
Yeah.
May not happen.
Yeah.
So, what was your number one thing?
Patience, patience, patience.
Right.
So whether you're traveling with people or whether you're traveling with pups, you always need to have a little bit of extra patience.
And it's part-timers, because right now we're not full-time RVers. We take long weekends and a couple, 3 long trips per year for now. And I think usually, actually both trips this time, to Colorado and to upstate New York, right at the end of our week there, they were like, "All right, this is kind of cool." So the pups were like getting settled in. So I think, the patience part comes in, like, because you're upper them again and then take them to another place. They may have a tougher time to kind of settle in. Most of this was all Tina's idea, and the things that she kind of took notes on over the season. I worried a lot about the dogs, and the biggest thing was when we would go out somewhere. We'd be gone for a couple 3 hours. I would start, I would say panicking, but I would start worrying about are they okay? Are they comfortable? So
to the point of sometimes we couldn't enjoy ourselves because he was very worried.
I would just constantly. So I had bought a blink system earlier this year when we got the pups, and I put one of the cameras on their pen, and then one camera at the front door, and I could peek in on them at times, and they'd be fine. But if there's no Wi-Fi or no 4G service, you can't check. On our first trip, we had no internet service, so I was really unable to keep an eye on them.
Right.
So anyway, I was worrying too much, and Tina would let me know that at times. I think you're worrying too much about the pups.
The pups are going to be fine.
Yeah, the pups will be fine. But we had noticed that when we were at home, they would be in their little kennel, their little crate, and they would sleep in the same crate, even though they had their own individual crates. So when we decided to take them RVing with us this year, we bought them actually, we just took one of those crates.
We took one of those.
We just took one of those crates, and well,
it was fun in the beginning.
It was very fun a little at the beginning, but then I'm thinking, man, if we're gonna be gone for hours and hours and hours, they're in that little crate. And the difference was that when
they're at home,
when they're at home, they could come out of that crate. We didn't keep them closed in or the door locked. But here in the RV, we did, because we didn't want them having run of the
because they're still
rig.
pups.
They're still pups. They chew on everything. So we bought a bigger crate, and that helped. That helped a little bit. I was able to relax a little bit more, knowing that they could at least move around a lot more.
And they had their water in their.
They had water in there, yeah. And then the last trip, we actually took both those crates, the larger one and the smaller one, and just opened the doors up and kind of tie wrap them together, and that worked out.
Yeah, it gave them more space, and they both had a place to lay comfortably stretched out, and they both had access to the water, and it seemed to be.
It did work out really well, and then I felt like we could leave a little bit longer. So prior to us taking on the pups for RVing, we would be gone 6, 8 hours all day.
All day sometimes.
And we wouldn't get home till dark. Well, that changed with the pups, and so now I think we kind of set a 6 to 8 hour limit, which is probably more than enough at our age.
Right. Yeah.
So
anyway.
So anyway, I think what we're going to try to do for next year is, and I've seen these, and if anybody knows what I'm talking about, please comment, let me know what you got and where you can get them. But I'm looking for I measured our area here in the rig, and I want to be able to set up a 6 by 6 foot fenced in area. And I've seen this fencing before. It's made out of like a plastic resin, and it just they kind of just interlock together, and you can kind of shape it any way you want. And I think if we could do that, and then put their little crate with their bedding in it,
Right.
I think we're good to go, because they'll have room to get up, play,
Right.
without getting to the chairs and chewing on those. Come back and it'd be stuffing everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think if you know where those are, or where I can pick those up, or what I'm talking about, leave us a comment. Let us know. We truly would appreciate that. So so the things that I worry too much, and Tina's really already hit all of the topics that I had also written down, and that was the feeding less before leaving, the taking the little spill-proof water bowl with us in the back of the rig, in the back seat of the truck, snacks along the way, planning for pup stops, the elevation. Oh, that was another thing. I think the biggest impact for them not getting sick was elevating them. Because I had also read somewhere in the forums or somewhere online, I forget where, but if you have motion but you don't have anything visual to relate what that motion is, it can cause a motion sickness. So bringing that platform up and giving them comfortable bedding, and then they can look out the window and see what's going on, helped a lot. That was probably the biggest thing. Yeah. So. Let's see. So, and the harnesses. Keeping them secure in the back seat. Even though they had their little platform now, we didn't want them just climbing all over the place. So we had seen on another video about these Kurgo harnesses, and you just clip them right into the seat belt, and it gives them pretty much full run of the back seat without endangering them. Should we open the windows up a little bit, they can't jump out. Right. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. I think we've hit all the topics. So this is kind of concluding our first full season with
So it's been a fun season. And basically, if you're going to be traveling with pups, just patience, give them extra love, just enjoy your time with your pups, continue embarking on new adventures with them. Looking forward to next season. So
all right, well, until our next video, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Bye.